Next question. Discuss the causes and impact of the inflation and measures adopted to correct the inflation. This question is important because of the higher inflation we faced in the last year. Okay, so this question might be asked. Now see, I have made the question tricky in the sense the concept is easy. Inflation concept is easy. Whoever have prepared for the exam, the concept should be easy. But now if you observe here there are three parts: causes, impacts, and measures adopted to the correct inflation. So writing this thing in the selected time and word limit, in the proper time and word limit, that is a challenge. So there you have to practice. Okay, so now here, okay, recently India has faced higher inflation levels of more than 6%, more than the comfort levels that you can mention as a context. Okay, you need not define the inflation. Okay, it can be assumed, but however, since it is asking you the causes of the inflation, for me it makes little bit more sense if I define the inflation. In order to discuss the causes, if I define the inflation first, then I can define the causes. It will set the more better context. Okay, whatever the introduction, whatever the recent example which I have mentioned, that can be used in the later in the causes also. Okay, so if you see now, the causes can be primarily divided into the majorly into the demand pull and the supply push. What is this generally inflation? Inflation is nothing but the price rise. Price rise is happening in the particular basket of the goods. This price rise can happen because more number of people are demanding, more money is following to those goods, or else while production of these goods itself, the cost of production is increasing. So this thing. So now let's say let's assume certain items you assume. Okay, let's assume some kind of food items you assume. Okay, let's say rice, wheat, sugar, these items you assume. Now food items, for the food items, not always the salaries or income rise will impact. Okay, we can take up some kind of mobile gadgets, electronic items. Okay, so when would the demand for these products will income, or else housing? Okay, inflation on the housing, real estate sector, housing sector. Okay, when you have the more salaries. Okay, when there is more money available in the people, with the people hand, when there is more money supply, when we will have more money with in our hands? When there is more money supply. When will be there when? So these are the reasons. Okay, so when there is more money supply, then it will have the lead to the rising salaries or incomes of the people. Okay, such kind of money supply can be higher either because of the expansionary monetary policies of the RBI. What does it mean, expansionary monetary policies of the RBI? You might have studied in your liquidity adjustment facility, like say CRR, SLR, RR, repo rate. So if the RBI reduces its repo rate, or else CRR, or else SLR, so this will increase the money supply. So how these things happen? These are the basics which you have to study. The scope does not allow for me to get into those concepts. Okay, so similarly, government is following the expansionary fiscal policies. Expansionary fiscal policies in the sense, government has reduced the direct tax. Okay, now let's say I'm earning the let's assume I'm earning somewhere 10 lakhs. Okay, let's say government has imposed let's say there is a 20% tax rate. Okay, now government has come down the tax rate to the 5%, reduce the tax rate to the 5%. Now I have got extra money in my hands, so this will increase the demand. So whenever the government reduces the taxes, direct taxes, okay, or else government is borrowing more money from the public, and it is also spending. Okay, government is by spending that money in terms of the infrastructure, or else in terms of the subsidies or whatever. So all these things, the expansionary fiscal policies will impact the more demand. So the inflow of the foreign currency. How the inflow of the foreign currency? Now let's say I am some kind of foreigner, I have brought the dollars. Now I will not use this dollars, right? I will give this dollar to any kind of forex market. Okay, some financial institution, I will go into the forex market, I will give this $1 and I will get this 50 rupees. Now I am spending this 50 rupees, or else whatever the 90 rupees is there. Okay, now this 90 rupees before it was present with the bank. Now this 90 rupees has come into the market. So with the inflow of the more foreign currency, there will be more inflation, more consumerism. You are going on spending the consumerism. Okay, you are going on spending more, purchasing. Okay, consumption based activities are being increased. Okay, then that also cause. Okay, black money, unaccounted money. Okay, if the money is accounted, then there can be a tax. If the money is unaccounted, there is no tax. And also generally the people who have the black money, they will go for higher luxury goods. Okay, because let's say let's assume that they have made some kind of gold. Okay, so this money they have somehow they have to spend. Okay, they will go for the higher luxury items. Okay, so this black money and also cause the demand high. Then there is also supply push, means cost itself of the products are increasing. How the cost is increasing? Let's say I have to make some kind of product. Okay, for that product I have let's say fertilizers. For the fertilizers I am using the natural gas. For the natural gas, the natural gas or else I am using the oil, whatever. Okay, so those petroleum products cost rise. Okay, we are importing 85% of the fossil fuels. So any price rise in those fossil fuels will also increase the supply side price. Okay, and then depreciation of the currency, poor logistics cost. How these things happen? Okay, let's say let's first deal with these things. Okay, let's say hoarding. Okay, hoarding means let's say I have the onions, I have the potatoes with me. Okay, I've thought, okay, the cost now is let's say 20 rupees. Okay, I'll save them. Okay, I will create the artificially I will not if they flow in the market, the demand will be normal. I will create artificially deficit in it. Okay, deficit in the market. Okay, so as a result, when there is a deficit of supply, the demand is more than the supply. As a result, the prices will be high. Then I will release my onions or whatever the potatoes. Then I will get the better prices. So this is some kind of practice that are followed by the consumer. It is by the producer. This is a wrong practice, and government also takes measures for these things, and that is called the hoarding. Poor logistic cost. Okay, let's say I have to travel by a kind of truck truck loaded with a kind of mangoes. Okay, but the truck cost is very high because the roads are very poor. I have to wait for long days, delays are happening. So the truck is charging me higher cost. Then I will transfer it to the consumer, right? So that is also will increase the this thing. Inflation. Okay, then rise in the MSP. What is this MSP? We have to deal this thing in detail. Okay, but simply MSP is a minimum support price. Let's say a government is offering 100 rupees for the as a minimum support price for the rice. Okay, now let's say I need rice. I am a private player. Now if as per the market rate, if I offer 80 rupees for the farmer, will he give me rice? No, right? He will give it to the government. Now government has kept the price already high of 100 rupees. Now I am forced to increase my price more than 100 rupees. This will also cause the inflation. Now indirect tax. How the indirect taxes will cause the inflation? Always remember, increasing the direct tax will reduce the inflation. This is a very important prelims thing. But increasing the indirect tax will cause the inflation. Indirect taxes are the taxes that are passed on. Okay, the person on whom it is levied and the person who the tax actually paid are different. Okay, in the indirect tax, the cost can be transferred. Okay, generally because of this thing, whenever there is imposition of the indirect tax, the price of the product will increase. Then let's say recently also we have exported wheat items. Then there was a lack of supply in the domestic market. This has also increased the price of the wheat. So when you export more food items, this also causes the inflation. External crisis like Russia and Ukraine crisis or Fed tapering. Now what is this Fed tapering? It is very important concept. Okay, so the Fed tapering, let's deal this. You might have heard about the open market operations. Okay, what does the RBI do in the open market operation? It will go into the secondary market. Either it will buy the government bonds that are present with the financial institutions or the retail consumer and give them money. Okay, so what is happening with this? The money is being released into the market. Vice versa can also happen, but generally this is what RBI will do. Okay, in the same way, federal institutions of developed countries like say USA, Europe, Japan, these people will buy the bonds. They will buy the bonds, government bonds, and they will give the money to the public. Now the people, why the federal banks are doing this thing in the developed nations? Because they want to revive their economies. The demand there is very less. They want to revive this economy. Okay, so since the demand is very less, so they will go for this kind of bond purchase program. In this bond purchase program, they will purchase the bond and release the money into the market. Now these people will have money with them, so they have a lot of excess money. The interest rates in India are very high. Okay, the interest rates in the developed nations, they are very low, around 2%, 3%. But if you see the interest rates here, it is more than 7%, 8%. They will get better returns if they invest here. So whatever the money they get, they will invest here. So whenever the such kind of more bond purchase is happening, you will receive more amount of the forex in the Indian market. But when such a reverse thing is happening, when the government is stopping the purchasing of this program, that is called as a Fed tapering. When such Fed tapering is happening, okay, so in that cases, so what generally happens is these people withdraw the currency, withdraw the foreign currency. Now what happens when they withdraw foreign currency? They want to leave the country. Okay, earlier what they did, they gave the dollar and they got the rupee. Now they will say, okay, take back your rupee and give us dollar. Okay, they want to go back. Okay, they want to use the limited money in their developed nations only. Okay, so with this, demand of the dollar will increase. Whenever any external crisis like this happen, Russia and Ukraine crisis, Fed tapering happens, generally these people who are the investors, they will prefer the developed nations or more stable economy. Okay, so the demand for dollar will increase. In such cases, your rupee will depreciate. Currency depreciation will happen. When the currency depreciation will happen, initially, for the time being, exports will benefit. So this is the first stage. Exports will benefit for a time being. But generally what happens, we import 85% of our oil, we import so many things. As a result, over a period of time, inflation will increase, and that will lead to the supply based inflation. And the same point is also mentioned here, right? Depreciation of the currency and how it can cause the inflation. And then the weather events, like say now this year is considered as a El Nino year. The rainfalls will be going to be poor, and this can cause droughts also. So that's why this year in your paper, droughts becomes very important. Drought management, watershed management becomes very important. So weather events like El Nino heat waves can also increase the your inflation. Now then comes its impact. So what would be the impact? When the inflation is very mild, then it can cause a GDP growth. When how this GDP growth can happen? Let's say I'm the producer. Okay, let's say instead of 10 rupees, I'm getting 13 rupees. It will benefit me, right? Because I'm getting slightly good returns. So inflation will benefit me as an investor. Okay, then I will go for more production. Then GDP growth will happen. When the GDP growth happens, employment will be generated. But when the inflation rises beyond a point, okay, then people will stop buying it. Then demand will fall, and then there can be a stagflation. Okay, so we have already seen when the savings are eroded because of the inflation, savings are eroded and investment will decrease. Okay, and then because of this thing, production, when there is inflation also, what is actually inflation? What is actually doing to this rupee? Now let's say you are able to buy 100 with 100 rupees some X amount of items. Let's say you are buying the burger, McDonald's burger, you are able to buy for the 100 rupees. Tomorrow, if the inflation is very high, you are buying the same McDonald's burger for 200 rupees. That means your purchasing power capacity has been reduced. So why that has happened? Because of price rise of the burger. Whenever there is inflation, the purchasing power capacity will be reduced. This will affect primarily the poor people. Okay, poor people will be more affected. Okay, so this will cause instability, insecurity in the issues. Okay, so now what are the measures that are being adopted? Okay, the various measures that are adopted are the monetary policy measures. If you see, RBI government will adopt whenever you see there is a the increase of the interest rates, repo rates, CRR and SLR will be increased. And then in the open market operations, I have already discussed this open market operations. In this open market operation, RBI will go and it will sell the government bonds. When it will sell the government bonds to any financial institution, in return it will give the money from the banks. It is coming back to the RBI. So this will decrease the money supply. This is used as a measure to counter the inflation. Okay, that got repeated. Then what are the fiscal measures? I have told you there is a increase of the direct tax, demand should be reduced, and decrease of the indirect tax. Promotion of the supply, like say during the time of the COVID, government has promoted the agriculture infrastructure fund. This promotion of the agriculture infrastructure fund, what is this thing? Okay, some 1 lakh crore fund is being released into the market. With this, the funds are a fund is created. Okay, NABARD will receive these funds, and whoever the people, like say foreign what is this? FPOs. Okay, these FPOs, these are nothing but a kind of NGOs. They have the actually both the features of the NGO as the cooperative as well as the companies. Okay, they actually farmer producer organizations, FPOs means. Okay, they are like say the group of farmers come together and they work on the principle of cooperatives, but they will not lose the principles of the Companies Act, profit orientation, efficiency, all these things they will do. So now these FPOs, okay, now let's say we know that the average land holding of the farmers, especially in India, is less than 1 hectare. Okay, this will reduce the efficiency. Now let's say I am the small farmer, my land is less than 1 hectare. Okay, some other person is also having less than 1 hectare land. Now there are 10 people. Now we come together, then we have the 10 hectares of the land. So we all can come together and we can pool our resources, and we can apply the more amount of resources on my land. This will increase the efficiency also. Right, and this not only increases efficiency, it will also increase the bargaining power. Earlier, with just 1 hectare of small land, I will not be able to bargain my product with the at the market. Now FPO is formed, a company is formed. Okay, all the people came together, 10 people, and a cluster has been formed. Now my bargaining power will be increased. Now government has created the agriculture infrastructure fund as a fund of funds through various financial institutions like say NABARD. This fund will be provided to them. Now this fund will be used by these institutions like say to create the warehouse facilities, storage facilities, cold chains, all these things will be done. This is a very important reform that needs to be mentioned. And then government will also provide Food Security Act, so that to protect the measures from the to protect the people from the unnecessary price rise. Then administrative measures are also taken care. So they checking the black money, export restrictions, import of the essential items whenever there is a higher amount of the inflation, and also checking the hoarding practices. Okay, those are the certain measures. And then inflation range of 2 to 6% is not a threat to economy. Monetary Policy Committee has to work with the government time to time. Okay, there should not be any kind of conflict between the government. They should work time to time. They should coordinate and make sure that inflation is within the tolerable limits. That is your inflation.